What's up gamers, my name is Patty Fatty Cake, and today I will be ranking Old School RuneScape's greatest and worst minigames on this tier list. This is actually the first tier list that I myself created. I stole all these icons off of the wiki, so somebody else made all the icons, but I actually put this one together and I'm very proud of it. So how about you go down into the comment section below and type away and tell me how good this one looks. Tell me how much better this one looks than all the other ones that I did. Well, caveat to all these, I have not done all these minigames. I've done almost all of them. I think there is one or two on this list that I'm not super familiar with, but I'm going to rank them anyways. And with that in mind, our first one is going to be the Volcanic Mine, which I have never done. I have never done the Volcanic Mine, but there's people who I know who are good at the game, who I trust considerably, who say that it's good, and I'm sure somebody on Reddit hates it. So B tier, you know, we're going from high to low here. This is the worst minigame in the game. We have the Mage Training Arena. The guy who made this, I actually looked this up. He still works at Jagex. This man belongs in a padded room. This minigame sucks, dude. I really don't know like how much more I can go into it, but it's just tedious, it's click intensive, and it takes just an immense amount of time to finish. It's a relic of the past that needs to be done away with. All right, this one's gonna change the way that you see me, and I'm sorry if you think I'm a psychopath or something, but Barbarian Assault is a clear A-tier minigame. You're there just dreading getting your fighter's torso or your level 5 in all skills. I'm doing it there for fun. I've completed the log except for the pet. I love this minigame. There's just so much depth to it. There's so many different roles and ways they interact with each other. There's so much more you can improve in your role to like work with the other players to get quicker and quicker completions. It's just so much fun. This next one I have really fond memories of, but I have to be honest with you, it is an F tier minigame. This one is the Ranging Guild. So basically the idea of this is there's targets, you pay the guy to get some arrows and you shoot down the targets, you get some points and you can spend them on things which you can just buy in the Grand Exchange or in pretty much any shop for far cheaper than the point time whatever cost that it takes to get you there. There was one cool thing about this back in the day. There was a lot of people who had bought PKing accounts there with their range because you wouldn't get HP EXP, and the bots were super primitive. They would just click the targets down at the end of the range. So all you had to do was aggro a bunch of the ranger guys that are all around the Ranging Guild, just drag them into position in front of those, and eventually these bots would misclick on the rangers, then go back to correctly clicking the targets, and the rangers would just slowly but surely hit ones on them until they died. And if you're new to the game, back in the day, if you died, all your stuff dropped to the ground. They did come out with gravestones, which even back then, once the gravestone disappeared, all your stuff still dropped to the ground. And since these were bots that weren't programmed to come get their gravestone, you could just loot all this stuff, and usually they had a sizable amount of cash on them. It was a lot of fun for a noob back in the day. You know, I like to get the bad news out of the way before we move on to good news. I'm gonna put this in here. This one, it's obviously the duel arena. I know there's like a mirrors arena or something like that, but I have not done any of the PvP arena personally yet, so I'm just gonna stick on the duel arena. The duel arena was F tier, not because it wasn't fun. I had a lot of fun there back in the day, but because this addicted tons of children to gambling. I lost a bunch of friends to this, and they didn't die in real life. They didn't like end their lives or anything over this, but it did ruin the game for a lot of people. They would get in this mindset where it's just like, I can make money so much faster by dueling than by actually playing the game. So any little scrap of money they made, they would take it to the duel arena to try to double it. If they win that, they try to double that. Like, you know, you're at like 1 bill, it might as well be 2. Well, that might as well be 4. That might as well be 8. That might as well be 16. And they would never be happy until they ended up back at 0. And I feel like even though I've lost contact with a lot of these people, they probably carried this over into their real life as well. And it could be disastrous in that creating gambling addicts, especially when you're in your teen years. It's pretty formative, and just overall this one's been a scourge on the game and probably pretty negative for a lot of people's lives. All right, I'll take this one out of the shitter for you. This one is a classic A tier. We got Castle Wars. You know, we're gonna give this one an A+, not quite S. It's not the best minigame in the game, but I have so many fond memories of this. Everybody else has so many fond memories of this. I have not seen anybody hating on this. It's just your regular capture the flag, team versus team. It's just so much fun. It's still active if you go to the specific world, but I remember when every world was so active. There was a time in this game when this was like the only thing to do in the game, which I'm glad it's not. anymore, but it was packed in every single world. You would meet all of the people who played on your home world. There was a community behind it in every single world. It was just so much fun. It was a cool way to test out your new gear that you got, especially when like the Slayer skill was released. I remember seeing people with like the first granite mauls. They were so rich. I couldn't even comprehend it, but man, that maul was scary. Castle Wars is very deserving of its A.5 spot, and I love it so dearly. Next up, we got a heater for you. We got Gnome Delivery. That one's actually, that one's a D tier. I can't lie to you. This one, it's not very fun. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's pretty basic. You make gnome food to deliver to gnome people, and in reward, they give you gnome rewards. Okay, I'm not lying to you, this one's actually a heater. We got Guardians of the Rift. Gonna put this one in A tier, and the reason for that is I'm a big fan of Jagex coming up with alternative methods to train skills, and rune crafting was, for so long, the world's shittiest skill of RuneScape. It was just so mind-numbingly bad. You just did the same thing over and over and over and over again for like 30k an hour EXP. Gonna spend like 700 hours getting 99. It's just abysmal. And along came Guardians of the Rift. A lot of these minigames are a relic from the past, and for some of those that's a good thing, and others it's not so much a good thing. For this one it is a good thing, because I love the Shades of Morton. It's gonna be a B tier. It's not quite an A tier, but there is a lot going on with this one. You can like make that temple, you can kill the shades to sanctify your olive oils into sacred oils, I think they are. I don't remember what they're actually called. Use them on the logs, you burn the shades, you get the keys, and you open up treasure chests. Who doesn't love treasure chests? The treasure chests used to be pretty lackluster, but since the update where they came out with all the different locks, all the different clue scrolls you can get from them, the different armor sets, the blood bark, the other one, the zealot I think it's called. Dude, there's tons of great rewards here. Although they might not be best in slot, it's cool log slots. There's a ton of collection log slots here. Next up, we have a fan favorite. This is gonna be our first S tier. We got rat pits, baby. Look at that kitty cat. It's so cute. Whoever made that icon, you are a gem of a human being, and I am completely lying about rat pits. Rat pits is F tier. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever engaged with this content? This one is gonna get some mixed feelings. I'm not even sure if I think this is a minigame. We have Nightmare Zone, kind of a cool little icon here. I'm gonna put this one into D. It's not multi-dimensional whatsoever. Basically, you're just fighting old quest boss. You're just like AFKing a bunch of them at a time. There's really not a whole lot to it. Wee woo, we got a trigger warning in the chat here. This one is a little bit rough for a lot of you Iron Men out there who had to go and get your own gout tuber. We have the cleanup, the Taibo Wane cleanup minigame. It is solidly F tier. This minigame just sucks. This one is a relic of the past, but it is kind of setting the foundations for a lot of what Jagex is doing recently by trying to make a minigame surrounding skills. And we have Pyramid Plunder. It is like the OG skilling minigame. It's not a lot of fun, but it was groundbreaking. I'm actually going to downgrade this to C because it really isn't a lot of fun. There's not really a whole lot to it. You kind of just go in and you thieve the stuff, and maybe you'll get a scepter, but let's be honest, you're really not going to get a scepter. On the same vein, we have Giant's Foundry. Giant's Foundry is solidly, it's B. It's not quite A tier, but it is fun. It's a more fun way to train your smithing skill than traditionally. It has great EXP rates, it has good rewards, especially if you're an Iron Man for that little 8-tray cannonball thing. Mains don't really make cannonballs very much. But other than that, the rewards are good, the EXP is good, and it's a cool new way to train your smithing skill. Next up, we have Mahogany Homes. I'm gonna put this one in the C tier. Is it fun? No. Is it a minigame? No. Is it gonna save me from having to have carpal tunnel surgery? Probably. Next up, we do have Trouble Brewing. I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to talk about Trouble Brewing as a person who has enough pieces of 8 to complete the collection log for it, which took roughly 170 hours. This minigame is dog shit. It was dead content on release. I don't know a single person. That's a lie. I know one person who has played the minigame and he actually enjoys it, but good luck finding a team that is actually producing rum in this. There's just nobody doing it. There's people who are getting their diary, and there's people like me who are using an alt to boost it for the collection log for 170 hours. This next one is going to get me a heap of downvotes. This one section is a 10 downvote or thumbs down on the video type of thing, and that is LMS being S tier. Slide it right on in there. The LMS is the best minigame RuneScape has ever had. It is so engaging. It is so fun. If you haven't done it, basically it is a free-for-all battle royale style thing where everybody spawns in the same armor and gear, and you have to fight until there is one person left. The biggest downside of this is that it has often, over its history, been plagued by bots. Jagex has been trying to fight against them, but they keep popping up. Some of these bots are just absolute terminators, and you have zero chance. They're gonna one-tick like an 8-way switch and barrage in the same tick. It's insane. They are like borderline unbeatable. And then there's other bots that just kind of lay over and let you have them. Those ones are nice if you're farming up points, but if you can get a legitimate game, there is nothing more fun and more addicting than this minigame. I love it so much. I am garbage at this minigame, but I have been addicted. I've lost months of my life to this minigame and somehow not gotten any better at it. Next up, we have the sailing skill, clear S tier, except this is a minigame tier list and this is not sailing, but it is kind of sailing. We got the fishing trawler. It is solidly D tier. You are there for one thing only, and that is the angler outfit, and you're 48 dry for your first piece. Except this one, I don't know if it's really a minigame, but we got temple trekking. Temple trekking is D tier. The rewards just aren't really relevant. The minigame itself isn't that painful. You know, there's a little variety to it. We'll give it a C tier. I feel weird giving it a C tier, but it's not really even a minigame either. I don't know what I'm saying about this. Nobody's done this other than Swampletics, and I don't suggest you do it either. Teaming up with a theme of minigames that I don't particularly enjoy, we have Pest Control. Pest Control is a C tier minigame. It's there's a little more going on. There's actually like a game that you're playing. I'm talking myself into putting this into the B tier, especially now with the combat achievements giving you more pest control points. Most people here aren't playing this game for fun. Let's be real, you're looking to get your Elite Void done, and now it's just not as painful. The minigame itself is more involved than a lot of the lower tier minigames, and for that reason, we're gonna put it as a B. This one right here, we got that as D tier. Can you guess what that is? It's Fight Pits, baby. Not Fight Caves, you're not getting your Fire Cape, this is Fight Pits. It's a completely dead minigame other than that one diary step, but back in the day, this used to be all the rage. And remember when I was talking about Castle Wars, there was nothing else to do? This is another one of those. Basically, it's kind of a predecessor to LMS without anything that's really that fun. Everybody spawns in and you can fight each other to the death, and the last person alive wins. There's a lot of these that are just really old, and the games room is kind of like that. I'm gonna put it at the C though. It probably doesn't deserve a C rating, but there's a few different games that you can play. Nobody's going to, and you probably haven't yourself unless you've been around a really long time. Clan Wars, another one that's like kind of outdated. You can go in there now into the white portal. I think it's like World 2 people still go there, and you kind of go in with your D-claws and spec somebody out really quick. That's really about the extent of it. Back in the day, clans used to do clan events with each other. And I think that still happens a little bit, although not as much. Maybe I'm just not in on that scene. If you are a part of that scene, let me know if this is still like a big thing. I'm hesitant to like put it lower or higher just because I don't really know, but I would love to hear if you're like part of an active like scene on that. That'd be really interesting to like look a little bit more into. This next one, Hollowed Sepulcher, is a masterpiece. Let me make this guy a little bit smaller. Gonna fit down there in the A tier. It's just fantastic. Jagex is making the agility skill a little bit less dog shit. It's actually super engaging. There's tons of traps you have to get through. You can beat your times. You get rewards that make the minigame itself more pleasant. And once you reach a high enough level, it's actually pretty good money. The Ring of Endurance is fantastic. If you're an Iron Man, you need to be doing this so you can get this. You know, I'm not really going to rank these like first, second, third on all of that stuff because there's just like a lot that goes into it. But if I had to, this one is the third worst. It's a Tithe Farm if you've never been there. It's super click intensive, and the rewards, it's one of those mini games that you're just there for the reward. Nobody is playing Tithe Farm for fun. There's 0 people in the history of RuneScape that have ever had fun at this minigame. Next up, we got Gnome Ball up in the S tier. What's not to like? This one is soccer, or more probably closer to handball. But you do it with a gnome ball, and you do it with gnomes. And the good thing about these gnomes is they're small, and I'm pretty big, so I can just run them the fuck over. And I will be scoring every single time against these puny little... Anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, and I will see you next time.